I just faced a father's worst nightmare. The HOA president herself kicked in my door at dawn with goons, then lunged for my newborn, still sleeping in her crib. And her reason? She had a printed court order she whipped up after wine night. Funny thing is, the only thing truly tested that morning was my self-control not to rearrange. Her smile. Let me start from the beginning. The first thing I heard wasn't the splintering of the door frame.
It was the baby.
Our daughter, Grace, all of 3 days old, let out a sharp, piercing cry from the bassinet next to our bed. It was a sound of pure surprise, of a perfect little world shattered. My eyes snapped open. I was on my feet before my brain had even processed the noise that came next. A loud, ugly crack as our front door, the one I'd spent a whole weekend painting a cheerful blue, was kicked clean off its hinges. It slammed against the inside wall with a bang that shook the whole house. My first thought, a stupid primal one, was about the drywall. I'm going to have to patch that. Then the shouting started and the world caught up. Child Protective Services, we have a warrant. Stay where you are. The voice was female, shrill, and dripping with a kind of smug authority that I knew all too well. Have you ever had someone try to take everything you love just because they could? What would you do if a tyrant with a clipboard threatened your family? Let me know in the comments below. And if you believe in standing your ground against bullies, hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss how this ends. Trust me, Karen didn't see it coming. I moved instinctively, my body remembering drills my mind had tried to forget. I put myself between the bedroom door and my wife Kylie. She was sitting bolt upright in bed, clutching the sheets to her chest. Her face, already pale and tired from a C-section just days ago, was a mask of pure terror. "David, what is happening?" she whispered. I didn't have an answer. I just held up a hand. I could hear them coming down the hall. Heavy boots on our new hardwood floors. More than one person. They weren't trying to be quiet. They wanted us to be afraid. The bedroom door flew open, and there she was, Karen Lowe, the queen of our little suburban kingdom, the president of the Homeowners Association. She stood there framed in the doorway, a monster wearing a pantsuit. Her blonde hair was sprayed into a perfect immovable helmet. Behind her stood 3 men, big guys dressed in what looked like cheap off-brand tactical gear. One of them was holding a gurney. And to complete the circus, another man stood beside Karen, holding a professional video camera, its red recording light blinking like a malevolent eye. "There they are," Karen announced, her voice booming with fake concern for the camera. "The unstable father, the incapacitated mother, and the poor, helpless child." She pointed a perfectly manicured finger at me. "David Martinez, you are a danger to your family. We are here to rescue your daughter." Rescue. The word was so vile. She held up a piece of paper. "This is a court order signed by a judge. We are taking custody of the child." I knew in that moment, looking at the fake police and the fake concern, that this wasn't just about HOA rules anymore. This was a kidnapping, and I was the only thing standing in their way. "You can't do this," Kylie cried out. "She's 3 days old. She needs me." Karen ignored her completely. She nodded to her 3 thugs. "Get the baby and bring the mother. She needs a full psychiatric evaluation." 2 of the goons started moving toward the bassinet. The third one, the biggest of the 3, started unfolding the gurney. That was it. That was the line. My mind went cold and clear. I saw the room not as a bedroom, but as a battle space. I cataloged the threats. There was a solid oak chair by the window. The goons approaching the bassinet were clumsy. "Get away from her," I said. My voice was low, flat. The goons hesitated. Karen just laughed. "Don't listen to him. He's all talk. Get the baby." The first goon reached a hand toward Grace's bassinet. In that moment, time seemed to slow down. I grabbed the back of the oak chair, spun it around, and swung it hard. The solid wood connected with his helmet's visor with a crack like a gunshot. One down. Before the second goon could even react, I was on him. I drove forward, ramming my shoulder into his chest. I grabbed his right wrist, reaching for a taser, and twisted it. He screamed and dropped to his knees. The third goon charged. I sidestepped his clumsy bull rush and sent him sprawling face first onto the carpet. It took less than 5 seconds. 3 goons neutralized. Karen's smile had vanished. I stood there, knuckles raw, thinking I had won. But then I heard the sirens. Not in the distance, but right outside. Karen had a backup plan, and I had played right into it. 2 uniformed sheriff's deputies appeared in the bedroom doorway, guns drawn.
Drop to your knees!
Hands behind your head! Now, they shouted. Karen's smirk returned. See, she said to the deputies. Violent, unstable, exactly like I told you. They handcuffed me. They started to move Kylie onto that awful gurney. They were taking my wife. They were taking my baby. The goons wheeled Kylie's gurney down the hall and burst onto the front walk. Karen was clawing at Grace. But what Karen didn't know, what none of them knew, was that my defense had started long before they ever kicked in that door. Every camera on my property wasn't just recording to a local drive. It was streaming in real time to a secure server, a server monitored by a few old friends of mine. The kind of friends who don't just call the police, they are the police, the very best kind. And even as they were pushing me out of my own house, I knew help was already on the way. While I was in cuffs, a digital counterattack was already launched. But to understand why a SWAT team was about to descend on my front lawn, you have to go back to the beginning, to a garden gnome. It started about a year earlier. We bought the perfect little bungalow in Oakwood Creek. We wanted peace. We wanted boring. Neighbor Fred, a retired postal worker, warned us about Karen Lowe immediately. She's the queen bee, he said. She measures grass with a ruler. I laughed it off. Then came the first notice. A formal violation warning for a garden gnome. Unapproved lawn ornament. 48 hours to remove it or face a fine. I was furious. But it didn't stop there. Fines for the garbage can being visible.
Warnings about mulch.
I tried to talk to her at the annual barbecue. The rules are the rules, she said coldly. If you have a problem, perhaps you chose the wrong neighborhood. She was a bully who got a thrill from making people miserable. But when Kylie got pregnant, the stress became dangerous. Her blood pressure was high. I knew I had to do something. Then a man in a suit showed up, offering to buy our house for a pittance. He mentioned Karen was very supportive of their development project. That's when I realized this wasn't just about petty rules. It was about greed. They wanted us out. I declared war that day. But I didn't fight with shouting matches on the lawn. I fought with documentation, surveillance, and a dossier that was growing thicker by the day. I upgraded our security. High-definition cameras everywhere streaming to the cloud. Neighbor Fred became my intel source. He told me Karen's husband was meeting with developers. He told me about other families she'd ruined. A retired teacher forced to take a second mortgage to pay fines. She's a shark, Fred said. She wants to destroy. Kylie went into labor early because of the stress. But after Grace was born, we thought maybe, just maybe, Karen would leave us alone. We were wrong. Her silence wasn't a truce. It was the calm before the storm. The raid happened just days after we got home. But back in the present, on my front lawn, the tide was turning. A black unmarked van and 2 county SWAT trucks screeched to a halt. These weren't ordinary cops. They were my old platoon mate Rick's unit. They stacked up on the door. Flashbang. Boom. They flooded the house. Seeing Karen in handcuffs was sweet. But Rick had bad news. She's out, he told me the next day. The DA is stalling. Karen had friends in high places, and she wasn't done with us yet. The second wave of her attack was a smear campaign. A local news blog posted an article. Local hero HOA President attacked by unstable veteran. It painted me as a monster and Kylie as unfit. Social media exploded. Our reputations were being destroyed. We were losing the war for public opinion. Kylie wanted to move. We have to go, she sobbed. But I couldn't run. That night I went to Fred's house. He told me about his son, Michael, who had taken his own life after Karen destroyed his business. "Don't let her do to you what she did to my boy," Fred said. "Fight her with everything you have." I went home and called an old contact, Echo, a master of digital warfare. Echo found the financial crimes, embezzlement, money laundering. But it was Fred who handed me the smoking gun, a literal book of secrets that would bring the whole city down. Fred handed me a worn leather-bound book. The family Bible, he called it. It was Karen's father's ledger. Decades of extortion and blackmail. It contained dirt on everyone, including the district attorney. That's why she was untouchable. We couldn't go to the local police. We had to go to the feds. We set a trap. I offered a settlement. Total surrender. I'd apologize and sell the house. Karen's ego couldn't resist. She agreed to meet at the community center. I walked in alone, wearing a wire. She gloated. She admitted everything. The condos were a washing machine for dirty money. She admitted she owned the day. People always listen when you know their secrets, she bragged. Just as she pushed the papers toward me, the doors burst open. Not SWAT this time, the FBI. "Karen Lowe, you are under arrest for racketeering, conspiracy, and extortion." It was over. The DA resigned. The HOA was dissolved. The neighbors formed a new association, with Fred as interim president. We built a community garden where the community center used to be. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my porch with Grace. The house is ours. The cloud is gone. I didn't want this war, but I learned that sometimes to find peace, you have to be willing to burn down the old world to build a new one. The fight is over. We're safe. We're home.